The Secret of the Lost Sleep. In a small village surrounded by green forests and blue hills, there lived a boy named Alexander. Alexander was a very special child, curious, brave, and always in search of the next big adventure. But just as much as he loved adventures, he neglected his sleep. Every evening, Alexander found a new reason not to go to bed, whether it was an exciting book, a new game, or simply his own thoughts, which kept him from falling asleep. One morning, when the sun rose above the hills and the birds were singing cheerfully, Alexander woke up with a strange feeling. He was not only tired but also somewhat empty. Alexander rubbed his eyes, yawned, but the fatigue didn't go away. "Mom, Dad," he called out, "something's wrong. I'm so tired I can barely keep my eyes open." His mother sat beside him on the bed, worried. "Alexander, did you sleep well?" she asked softly. Alexander thought for a moment and then shook his head. "I don't think I did. I was so busy with my books and games that I just didn't want to go to bed." His father sat down next to them and nodded in understanding. "Sleep is very important, Alexander. Without enough sleep, you can't focus, you get tired easily, and you feel unwell. It seems like you've lost your sleep." Alexander was surprised. "Lost sleep? How could that happen? And how do I get it back?" His mother smiled and gently patted his head. "There's an old legend about a kingdom of dreams where you can find the lost sleep. But you need to be brave and go on a journey to get it back." Alexander jumped out of bed, momentarily forgetting about his fatigue. "A journey? Where do I go? What do I do?" His father pulled out an old, dusty map and spread it out in front of him. "This map shows the way to the Kingdom of Dreams. You'll pass through the village of the Tired Ones and the Island of Dreams. Along the way, you'll meet magical creatures who will help you get your sleep back." Alexander looked at the map, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I'm ready. I'll find my lost sleep and bring it back." His mother packed him a small bag with food and a warm blanket. "Take care, my dear, and remember that sleep is just as important as your adventures." Alexander said goodbye to his parents and set off on his journey. His first steps took him through a dense, mysterious forest where the trees whispered to each other, and the birds sang songs from faraway lands. Alexander felt some anxiety but also great excitement. After several hours, he reached the village of the Tired Ones. It was a strange place where all the inhabitants seemed slow and sluggish. Their eyes were half closed, and their movements were lethargic. Alexander was puzzled. "Why is everyone so tired?" he asked an old man sitting on a bench, dozing off. The old man barely opened his eyes and yawned. "We're all tired because we haven't slept. No one here gets enough sleep, and without it, you can't be energetic or alert." Alexander nodded thoughtfully. "I'm looking for my lost sleep. Can you tell me how to get it back?" The old man weakly smiled. "You must find the wise Auli. He lives deep in the forest and knows the secret of the lost sleep. Follow the path through the forest, and you will find him." Alexander thanked the old man and continued on his way. The journey through the forest was long and difficult, and the further he went, the more tired he became. But he knew he couldn't give up. Eventually, he reached a large clearing where an ancient, mighty oak tree stood. On one of the highest branches, the wise Auli sat, Hello, Yuli, Alexander called up. I'm looking for my lost sleep. Can you help me? The owl looked down at him and nodded wisely. Sleep is a very precious thing, my young friend. Many forget how important it is until they lose it. But don't worry, I will help you. You must visit the island of dreams and find the Dream Fairy Tilda. She knows the way to the kingdom of dreams. Alexander thanked him and set off once more. The island of dreams was in the center of a vast lake, so Alexander had to use a small boat to get there. The journey across the lake was quiet and peaceful, giving Alexander time to think about everything he had learned so far. When he arrived at the island, he saw dream-like people and animals walking as if they were awake but asleep. It was a strange sight, but Alexander knew he had to find the Dream Fairy Tilda. He followed a narrow path through the trees until he came to a small clearing, where a beautiful fairy with shimmering wings was dancing. "You're the Dream Fairy, Tilda?" he asked, amazed. The fairy smiled and nodded. "Yes, I am. What brings you here, young one?" "I've lost my sleep and I'm looking for the kingdom of dreams," Alexander explained. Tilda nodded in understanding. "Sleep is very important, and I will help you find it. But first, you must understand why sleep is so valuable. Follow me, and I will show you." Tilda led Alexander around the island, showing him various creatures who lived there. She explained how sleep helped them stay strong and healthy, how it organized their thoughts and dreams, and gave them new energy for the next day. "Sleep is like a magical journey," she said. "It helps us grow, heal, and restore our strengths. Without enough sleep, we feel weak and can't do all the wonderful things we should." Now Alexander understood how important sleep was. "But how do I get my lost sleep back?" he asked. Tilda smiled. "You must go to the kingdom of dreams and meet the king of dreams. He will help you get your sleep back. I will show you the way." The Dream Fairy led Alexander to a secret path that passed through an enchanted forest. The path was lit by the flickering light of stars, and it seemed as though Alexander was in a dream. After some time, they reached the kingdom of dreams, a magnificent palace surrounded by glowing clouds and twinkling stars. At the entrance stood the king of dreams, a regal man wearing a crown made of stardust. "Welcome, Alexander," the king said. "I've heard you've lost your sleep." Alexander nodded. "Yes, I've learned how important sleep is, and I want to get my lost sleep back." The king smiled wisely. "You've learned an important lesson, my boy. Sleep is a gift that should never be neglected. I will help you get your sleep back, but you must promise me that you will take care of it in the future and get enough rest." Alexander solemnly promised, and the king of dreams placed his hand on Alexander's forehead. A warm, calming sensation filled Alexander, and he felt his fatigue disappear, replaced by a renewed sense of energy. "Thank you, King of Dreams," Alexander said gratefully. "I will never forget how important sleep is." The king smiled. "That's good, Alexander. Now go forth and embrace your adventures. But always remember that sleep is just as important as an active life." With a final smile and a nod, Alexander bid farewell to the Dream Fairy, Tilda, and the King of Dreams. He felt refreshed and full of new energy. When he returned home, his parents hugged him joyfully. "How was your journey?" asked his mother. "Wonderful," Alexander replied, I learned so much and got my lost sleep back. From now on, I'll make sure to sleep well so I'm always ready for new adventures. From that day on, Alexander went to bed on time every evening. He had beautiful dreams, and every morning he woke up feeling refreshed and ready for the day. Now he knew that sleep was a secret to a healthy and happy life, and he told all his friends about his magical journey so they would understand how important sleep is. And so, Alexander lived a happy and energetic life, always ready for new adventures and filled with the strength to explore the world around him.